So let's have a little fun here. I'm going to show you a little walking tour of the Lake Geneva shore path. I call it the People's Path because there's so many people that enjoy different and various segments of the lake path. And so what I want to do here is show you pictures as you walk along. Going from Williams Bay, this is the way, this is the direction, and actually we'll just do a little walking path, and this is as we're looking towards the water, of course, and boats along the water. And if you take a look at that little blue ball on the map side, that is exactly where these images were taken. And I used my iPhone to get just photos, snapshot photos, to show you. And what I was doing was focusing more on the path. What I find really interesting is that the path is so varied. As much as the homes, and the homes are beautiful, and a lot of people walk along the path looking at the homes, and I invite you to do that because it's really a fun and spectacular thing. But you notice, just take a look at what I'm showing you pictures of, and it's mostly the path and what's around the path and the piers. Now, everybody along the lake that owns a home has to maintain the pathway so that people can walk through. And so I'm showing you things as I'm seeing them, the willow trees and more paths. Some are bricks and very ornate, and then others are just the cement walk. And then in other places, you find that it goes in and around on sandy little tiny private beaches, and other times a little bit more public beach. And again, follow that little blue ball because that's where we're going. We're heading towards Lake Geneva now from Williams Bay. And many bridges, was quite an ornate bridge. And you're going to be able to see, and there's Alta Vista, and you'll be able to see from the other map that's included in the packet the GPS points of exactly these places. But you can kind of see from here places that you might want to get out and visit, and these paths are very fun to walk. Now this is a very, very steep hill, and then we get back to more paths. Some paths are very narrow, and some paths become quite wide. And the tiger lilies and the florals at this time of the year in the summer are just absolutely spectacular along the lakefront. They're very, very well maintained gardens. And many people are as proud of their lake path, I think, as they are of their beautiful homes. And they really like to be inviting with this. And here's some of the boats that go along. And again, it almost looks like a road path. And more bridges. And places where people have these huge places to store their boats in the winter. And sometimes the path crosses over tubes, and sometimes the path is half on and half off. And there's a view looking over, and you can see right where we are at the Narrows and looking over to Lake Geneva. And more tiger lilies. And another view. Actually, that's not the Narrows, but you can see how narrow that point is. And there's the at the Riviera, and this was a very, very cool place. Again, it's quite an experience just walking on the path. You've got to get over to that area on the east side of Lake Geneva. Now we're getting closer towards Bigfoot, which is Bigfoot Beach State Park. And of course, you know that building. And so now we get to be past the road section, and now we're back on the other side, heading out of Lake Geneva and into around and over into Fontana. And this section is about 8 miles going, again, these are one of my favorite types of paths with just wooden boards and mud. But again, quite a study on paths. And sometimes the trail goes underneath buildings. And then a view of looking down at the pier and going up some steps. Again, it's as varied as you can possibly imagine. And while it's a lot of fun to do trails outside and in nature, this is outside and just literally through people's backyards. But it's just such an experience, a great experience, and a lot of people on it, like I said, experiencing it. And lots of boardwalk areas, and again, more tiger lilies. This is the part that I run a lot, from Fontana into Williams Bay. A little more wild. So you go through wild sections, and you go through very, very ornate sections. And there's a George Williams College. And we're nearing our end, so I invite you to come out. And this is really cool, just going through this area. And all around the lake. And so you hear the wonderful beat of the water. I invite you all to come out and play on the Lake Geneva Shore Path.